Welcome back, everybody. It's Steve McCurdy here, and this is Sunday. This is the 9th of November and the 9th day of Steve's stories kind of in a row. So let's get started with day 9. Conviction arrives fully grown. It's a parable about a wall, a village, and the moment people remember who they are really meant to be. So it starts with all the beginnings of all my favorite stories. Once upon a time, there was a village that decided to build a wall, not out of hatred, not out of cruelty, not out of caution. The elders just said, look, there are dangerous people out there, and we're responsible for the ones in here. And so even the kindest citizens nodded and said, that seems reasonable. So the wall went up, and at first it worked, or at least felt like it did. People slept better, children played without worry, and the elders said, see, we were right. And conviction arrived fully formed, not by logic, but by relief. But a wall, once built, must be guarded, and guards needed authority. And authority needs rules, and rules need consequences. And very quietly, the question shifted from how do we stay safe to how do we make sure no one on the inside becomes a threat. There were now 3 kinds of villagers. Some said, I'm fine, so everything must be fine. And some said, well, none of us are safe unless all of us are safe. And some stayed angry because fear was easier to hold than trust. You might want to mark that down. No invader ever came, but suspicion did, and loyalty tests did, and whispered lists of who no longer belonged did. The wall was still doing its job. The people weren't. And that was a moment when the village realized something difficult. They'd built the wall to keep danger out, but somewhere along the way, they started using it to keep dignity out. The wall wasn't the problem. The spirit of the wall had changed. It wasn't time to tear it down. It was time to remember why it existed, to guard against harm, not to decide who deserved care, to protect the vulnerable, not to manufacture enemies, to make room for safety, not to replace freedom with supervision. Because a wall that keeps people in is not protection. It's a quiet, comfortable jail. That's when someone finally said the thing out loud. You know, the devil, isn't loyalty. It's a bargain with fear. People don't stay in bad systems because they like them. They stay because certainty feels safer than freedom. And once that truth landed, not gradually, but in a single snap, the conversation changed. Not one person was ashamed. Not one person had to admit to wrongdoing. They simply remembered the original promise. We built the wall to guard life, not to shrink it. And that was enough to begin again. So tomorrow, on day 10, we're going to explore the notion that safety without freedom isn't safety. It's just jail with better lighting. See you then.